Hey everybody, welcome back to Complete Trader Academy's daily review. Today is Friday, February 24, 2023. Let's hop right into it here. So we had this daily candle here, opened up, retraced a tiny bit, and then came all the way down most of the day, and then until about 8:30, then a little bit past 8:30, came into this demand block in here, sealed up some price, and then rallied its way up, and then we came back down and settled. All right, so let's hop into a smaller time frame real quick. So very tricky day, and you had to know it was a tricky day because why? Number one, we opened up, okay, and we kept coming down. I mean, it was flat. Most of Asia did create a divergence on the dollar and versus the indices, and then came down and was already here at 8 o'clock, gap down again at, now you see here, 8:30, and then was on its way down. So you know you should definitely not be touching any of this, because yes, we did take out this low right here, right? But with this type of free-for-all, like you don't want to be involved until you see some type of structure, because now we're at the bottom of this range, so to speak, and we do want to make some type of retracement. So most of the majority of the day has happened with this daily range from yesterday till, well, until right here about 10 something, 10:30, right? So understanding that and seeing that, you needed to let this play out. So you could have caught some scalps here, right? But this told me, this massive drop today, before even the market happened, told me to sit tight. It's going to be consolidating. It's going to be smaller range, and we want to wait for a shift of structure, period. So I didn't do nothing, and I'm only catching one good trade today because I don't want to be sitting here all day. But once we started to break up and started making order flow, then that's naturally my key to get in. So I was trying to actually get into here to hold this as a sell at first because I thought it would come down when this price kind of came back up into this block and into this gap right here. But it kept coming down, so definitely decided to ditch that trade and then see that, okay, we got these high points and we got this gap. Let's go for the gap. And sure enough, came perfectly. So let me go into a 1 minute so you can see this. So you'll see here that this block held, right? And if it goes below, obviously it's not holding. But you see when the price came down, broke up here once, came up, came down, broke up twice, came down, and the block held. Now you could have been a buyer. You could have been a buyer on a smaller time frame here, but I won't really get into that. But this block held, okay? This price held, and so did this imbalance. If you drag it through, it will hold as a support right there. And you see prices digging in but holding. That's a sure sign that it's gonna generally stay. So as far as you're expecting order flow to go, you wanted to see not a trend line, but you wanted to see it flow, right? So that's what it did. Then here was another opportunity right here between this imbalance right here. Price held. Could have been a buyer there. Could have also been a buyer as soon as it came back into this block right here. Okay. And also that it tapped into this block here. Take a line past it. There's another entry right there when the price came in and rode it up. Now, above this high, I took 20% here off this high because I'm expecting the gap, but I'm also expecting a retrace. Why? Because we've got these two nice higher lows installed, and I know that price will as one of the models will come back down, take out those, and this becomes the A to B to C. Instead of these small ABCs, you want to take a look at the bigger picture and allow it to retrace. Now, when it retraces, you expect it to hold somewhere in here. Well, this block did a nice job of that. See this demand block right there. Boom. All right, and then what do you expect? You could be a buyer here, or you could wait for a shift and a retrace back of order flow. Well, here it goes again. All right, in here, nice little imbalance right there, and another buyer. So then the rest 80% gets taken off at this gap. You see how the wick respected that gap? This took about 2 hours to accomplish right here, from here to here. And sorry, these should be blue. Got a little OCD, so I got to fix it. Sorry. All right, and good for you to see anyway. All right, and then so price, I mean to the T, right? And this swing took about 2 hours. This one took an hour and 20 minutes. This swing from here to here took an hour. So this is how I time it. This is that's what I look for. And how we got down here was we had a divergence on the indices and the dollar. So if I take you to the dollar, you'll see that when the dollar made a lower low, okay, and the indices made a lower high, right there tells me that we're going to come down. It's a divergence because the dollar is supposed to make the indices are supposed to make a higher high for it to be technically coming down. So if it's really order flow, you'd have a higher high here on the indices, and then you'd have a lower low on the dollar. Meaning, if order flow is correct, then you should have seen a lower high on the dollar. So I'm sorry, a higher low on the dollar. Instead of it making a lower low, you should have seen it make a higher low. That would indicate flow for the dollar. But we had the correct flow for the indices because they made a lower high, and they did come down, right? The dollar should have made a higher low so it can go up. All right, and then on top of that, when we got down here, well, as you see here, you see the indices here, they all made their lower high and was following symmetry, right? Now, as far as when we got down here and look at the time, okay, we got the 9, we got the 1050 macro here. Price is going to start kicking in and running for liquidity, which it did here, both of these. And you had a divergence on the dollar again. So all the indices were making lower lows, as you see here, making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. That would indicate going up. And the dollar did not make a higher high. It made a lower high. So that's a crack in the correlation. And if all the indices are making lower lows, you should see a higher high in the dollar. But we failed here to make a higher high, and we made a lower high. And that's an indication that we are going to change directions for that period of time, which is how you're going to go ahead and catch this trade. Other than that, only one trade closed out here and was done around the power hour. Didn't want it to retrace, and sure enough, it did. And if I go to now the daily, back to the daily, what do we see here? We are seeing something like this again. You see how this massive drop candle, well, that's like this, for example. Then the next day we had a retrace, and we had another bearish day, but it stayed right here. Well, that's kind of like that day. And then you see how another bearish day, well, we had a bullish day and a bearish day here. So this was technically like even though this is a blue candle, this is technically was a bearish day, in my opinion, because majority of it was bearish. And then sure enough, this candle is also a bearish day. And then, but you see how it's ranging out, and we're going to now maybe get a shift up to come back down, slowly come back up to fill the imbalance, which is how we filled this imbalance. Now, this is kind of the same story. Now, and that's how in a perfect world it would normally deliver. But I have a feeling when we drop down this range, you see this range? I don't think this range is done dropping. So I think that we're going to retrace, come back down a little bit, take some of these lows and get into here. And then we'll start this process again, over again, right? Or we're just going to, technically it should just technically come down quicker than that. But, you know, I don't make the market. But we do have that price imbalance right there. And if I go to the 1 hour, you'll see that we have, well, let me go to a 4 hour actually. So you'll see here beautifully that we have that price imbalance there. We have price imbalance here. So the price, it might not keep coming down. That might have been the last low, and it's making what, you know, some retail calls a double bottom, or an accumulation stage. All right, so an accumulating stage is meaning we're going to start accumulating orders to come up, and then it'll take out that high and come in here, or at the least take out that high and come in here. Maybe, you know, and come up to just to tap this one more time. We'll see how the flow goes. But remember, when we say watch Asia London, this is a pretty good example of watching Asia London. I mean, you had Asia and London take care of most of the day, right? And then some of New York, but I mean, you know, your day was already pretty much given to you, right? All right, so hope this helps you guys. Take care. Have a good weekend, and God bless.